This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further as you can use the promo code MTGMudzda to get you 5% off anything on the site. Or if you're in Canada like me, you can use the same promo code at Multizone to get 10% off your orders of singles. If cards aren't what you're looking for, Original Magic Art has playmats, tokens, and sweet art that you can use that same promo code to help you get 5% off your order there. If you're looking to bling out your cards, using Alter Sleeves is a great way to do so, and you can click the affiliate link in my About section to help out the channel as you make an order. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang. This video is also brought to you by the upcoming Kickstarter for Cube-Majigs Series 2. Cube-Majigs are reusable booster packs for Magic the Gathering, Cube, and trading card games. Series 2 upgrades to the previous line, including cleaner seams that prevent packs from bulging, they're pre-made, and they have 30 pieces of gorgeous custom art, made by some of our favorite Magic artists. Be sure to check out the link below for more information. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game is one of the first ones I recorded through Discord, so unfortunately there are no opening hands. I'm playing my rarely seen Animar deck, Ryan is playing Rafiq of the Many, Harry has Niv-Mizzet Reborn, and Trevor is playing his equipment-based Zurgo Helm Smasher. Ryan wins the die roll and starts us off. He plays a tapped Desert of the Mindful and passes to me. I play a tapped Breeding Pool. Trevor plays a Plains and passes to Harry. Harry plays an Opulent Palace, which comes in tapped as well. Ryan plays a Plains, and then casts Scour All Possibilities. For my turn, I play an untapped Yavimaya Coast, and then tap out to cast a Wall of Roots. Trevor plays and cracks a Marsh Flats, going to find a Plateau, and then casts a Rakdos Signet. Harry shocks in an Overgrown Tomb and casts Growth Spiral, putting out a Nomad Outpost, and then passes to Ryan. Ryan's turn 3 has him playing a Breeding Pool and has it come in untapped, shocking himself. He casts a Noble Hierarch, and then an Aven Squire, passing to me. My turn has me playing Shivan Reef, and I put a counter onto the Wall of Roots to generate a green mana. I cast my commander, Animar, and then with access to 1 blue still, I cast a Shrieking Drake, putting a +1/+1 counter onto Animar, and then bouncing the Drake back to hand as it comes in. Trevor plays a Rogue's Passage, and then casts an Indomitable Archangel, passing it to Harry. Harry's turn is quite quick as he pays 3 for a Feyburrow Elder, and then ships it to Ryan. Ryan plays a Cathedral of War, which comes into play tapped. He then has enough mana to cast Rafiq. He moves to combat and swings a Squire at me for 10. I take the hit, and then Ryan passes with nothing else to do. I use my wall again to help cast Oracle of Moldiah, getting to play a land off the top of my library. I then pay 2 life and cast a reduced costing Phyrexian Manamorph as a copy of Rafiq, adding yet another counter to my Animar. And then I go to combat and swing at Trevor, which, because it's attacking alone, has the Rafiq copy granting Animar double strike, and +1/+1 from the Exalted trigger, and pass turn. Trevor untaps and plays a Boros Signet, which he then uses to cast a Sword of Light and Shadow. He passes to Harry. Harry plays a Reliquary Tower and casts his commander, Niv-Mizzet Reborn. He reveals his top 10 and gets to keep a Tyrant's Scorn for Dimir, Cloven Casting for Izzet, Reap the Past for Gruul, and chooses Justice Strike for Boros, all of which go to his hand, and he passes back to Ryan. Ryan plays an island and then taps out for a Wargate in his main phase, where X is 3. He finds Reclamation Sage, which comes in and targets my copy of Rafiq. It gets blown up, and he then moves to combat, and swings out at Trevor, who takes the full hit. I untap, draw, and then play a Forest off the top. I cast Edric in my main phase, putting another counter onto Animar, and swing at Harry for 5, and once Animar connects, I get to draw a card. I then hit another Forest off the top, which I get to play, and I cast a Shrieking Drake, bouncing the Oracle of Moldiah back to hand, and then recasting it and putting more counters onto my commander. Unfortunately, there's nothing else for me to do, and I pass to Trevor. Trevor plays a Smoldering Marsh and casts a Trailblazer's Boots, followed by Pure Steel Paladin. Since he has Metalcraft active, he's able to equip for free, and moves all of his equipments onto the Angel. He wants to keep a blocker back though, and ships it to Harry. Harry untaps and plays a Godless Shrine, taking 2 so it comes in untapped. He then goes straight to combat. He swings the Elder at Ryan for 5, and Niv-Mizzet at me for 6. He gets to draw a card from Edric thanks to them connecting, and he taps the Elder for white, blue, black, red, and green in his post-combat main phase to cast a Soul Herder, and follows up with Domri, Anarch of Bolas. He upticks the Planeswalker, making a mana, and passes to his end step. He gets a Soul Herder trigger and flickers Niv-Mizzet, who comes back, and this time he hits Cavern Harpy, Sylvan Reclamation, Vindicate, Rakdos' Return, and a Time Wipe, and gets to put those to hand. Ryan untaps and draws. He plays his own copy of Rogue's Passage, and moves to combat. He swings Rafiq at Trevor, and makes it unblockable, which, upon connecting, takes Trevor out. Ryan also gets to draw a card for swinging at one of my opponents thanks to Edric. Ryan then passes to me. I untap, and only have to pay 4 mana to cast Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. With the on-cast trigger, I exile Ryan's Rogue's Passage and Harry's Soul Herder. I then move to combat and swing at Harry with Animar, drawing from Edric, and then in my second main phase, cast Imperial Recruiter. I go and find Venser Shaper Savant, putting it to hand, and then passing to Harry. At the end of my turn, Harry casts Utter End and targets Ulamog, but I counter it with Pact of Negation. Harry untaps and draws, shocking out a Steam Vent so it comes in untapped. He moves to combat, swinging at me for 7 and Ryan at 6. I chump with the Drake, and Ryan takes the 6. Harry draws from Edric, and then taps the Elder for white, blue, red, black, and green to cast Time Wipe, which Ryan responds to with a counterspell. Harry adds a red, and casts Expansion, copying the counterspell to counterspell the counterspell. And in response, I flash out Venser to return the Time Wipe to hand. Once the stack resolves, Harry then casts a Cavern Harpy, returning Niv-Mizzet to hand as it enters. Harry then casts a Maelstrom Pulse, who destroys my Oracle, and with nothing else, passes to Ryan. Ryan untaps and draws. He cycles Irrigated Farmland, drawing a card, and then casts an Armadillo Cloak on his Squire. He swings at me, dealing 14, gaining 14, and then passing turn. I pay my upkeep cost, and in my main phase cast Equilibrium, and then follow up with a Peregrine Drake once the enchantment resolves. I pay 1 and return Ryan's Reclamation Sage to hand as it enters, and then untap 5 lands. I move to combat and swing out Ryan with Ulamog, Animar, Venser, and the Recruiter. Ryan blocks Venser with Rafiq, but still takes 22, and I also get to exile the top 20 of his cards from his library thanks to Ulamog. I then get to draw 3 cards thanks to Edric, and follow up with a Glenelendra Archmage, paying the 1 as it comes in to return the Imperial Recruiter to my hand. I then recast the Recruiter, taking 1 from the Carplusian Forest, and go and find a Trophy Mage. Once the mage is in my hand, I cast it, and I pay the 1 as it enters to return the Drake to hand and find a Cloudstone Curio with its tutor trigger as it enters. I then cast the Curio and recast the Drake, once more returning the Imperial Recruiter to hand. I then once more cast the Recruiter to go and find a Beast Whisperer, but also bounce the Drake back to hand. At this point the table realizes I'm able to loop through creatures and the Drake to basically draw off all the creatures I cast until I found Purphoros, and then continue to bounce the board to dish out enough to finish them off. Game review time. So that was a bit of an interesting one. A lot of combat-based damage, followed by a combo win. I think Trevor was perceived as a threat this game early on for no real reason other than the fact that he's Trevor. I'm not saying this is right or wrong, But the fact of the matter is, I think Ryan could have left him alive and probably not suffered too many ill consequences. Speaking of Ryan, his Rafiq deck was certainly dishing it out pretty well. He did some interesting counterspells which I'm not too sure if I would have agreed with, mainly the time wipe. It would have certainly set him back in terms of exalted creatures, but he seemed to have enough mana to easily be able to recast Rafiq, and I think it would have hindered me way more than him. On my last turn, I think I might have not tapped enough for the upkeep cost, but I did have mana for it, which I probably would have done had I realized it. It would have just changed the sequence of things, meaning that I would have cast the Peregrine Drake probably before the Equilibrium, and I had other creatures in hand to cast and bounce back anyway, so it wasn't as though the loop was impossible. I've always enjoyed seeing Niv-Mizzet Reborn decks, just because you get to see people play a lot of fun, 2-color cards that might not necessarily make the cut in other decks. You want to run as many of these as you can in this kind of deck, because it fills up your hand again, and seeing stuff like Tyrant's Scorn and Justice Strike always brings a smile to my face. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.